Good evening and welcome to the chatter for day 8 of Love Your Lettering. If you're here on the replay and you have questions about this broadcast, you can leave a comment for me on the blog, CreativLEI.com. You can send me a Twitter message, Instagram, or Facebook. I am at CreativLEI on all those platforms. Good evening, and thank you all for joining me for day 8. Yay! We're officially in the second week. Welcome to the live broadcast, Terry. It's good to have you here. Sorry if I look a little sleepy. For some reason, I am normally a night owl person, but it seems like the last couple of days I've been finding myself very sleepy around this time, which is not good for our meeting. Hi, Swaney's mom. You'll have to remind me if I don't know your first name. You can try to remind me, and hopefully I'll learn them by the end of this month. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate the compliment. For those of you that are joining maybe for the first time, my name is Lisa. I blog at CreativLEI.com. It's looking at life creatively. And this month we are on an adventure for 31 days to love your lettering. Hi, Tina. Hi, Paula. Michelle, it's nice to meet you. So today was day 8, and we started off really slow and back to the very basics. Marcy, my lefty friend. You just saw the post about the truck? Yeah, for Tina is coming down to the Titus 2-1 conference next weekend, the same one I'm going to. Sounds good. Yeah, definitely message me. She's only a state away from me, so we'll see if maybe we'll ride together. Anyway, so we are doing 31 days to love your lettering. Hi, Fernanda. You're hoping to catch up this weekend. Our weekends are light, so hi, good evening, Sarah. You should be able to use the weekend time to catch up. We will not be covering new things on the weekends. We're just going to use it as a time to gather inspiration from around the internet. I've been trying to fill my lettering Pinterest board, and things like that. So what we'll use the weekends for is just to kind of compile inspiration that we can help build our skills that we've practiced during the week. And then on Sunday, I'll just ask that you practice what you've done all week by lettering a quote. And that will be the assignment each of the weekends. Hi, Gabriella. Welcome. You are washi taping your book today, so you haven't quite started. Don't worry, you're really not behind. We're only on day 8, and each lesson is relatively short. I think today was the first day that it probably was more of a challenge for many of you. The book is fun to build. I think a lot of us found putting washi tape on the edges kind of therapeutic in just, applying that and then having that look of the finished book. And the double pages are helpful too. Kathy is starting tomorrow. Welcome. I need to get tomorrow's post up and written. Tomorrow's will still practicing the whimsies, and you're going to continue to use those all throughout the month. Of course, we're going to go into different pens starting next week, but everything is building on each other. You're waiting for help for today's. All right, so I'm going to probably go ahead and get right to it. If you had specific questions, you can certainly put those in the chat. That way, as I start to write the letters, then hopefully I am answering the questions that you have. Finally watching live, but a day behind. Oh, thank you so much, Deborah. I appreciate all of you also. Lisa, thank you for inviting followers. That is wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to flip the camera and I will show you my book. I'm pulling up the post from today. That way, if you guys have any questions, I'll refer back to what is on the website. But certainly put your questions in the chat and I will get to those questions while I show you samples. Okay. So here is my notebook page from today. Sorry, my husband just got in. So I was using the IdentiPen, and mine is drying out. But I figured I would finish that way. At least it's showing that these are colored in. Oh, that is fun. My husband is watching, he's watching my posts, but he is not practicing the lettering. He's afraid that I'm going to judge his penmanship, which I won't. So the first one I did was calligraphy, and so that would be script, and that was at a slight slant. And then I also did a couple letters of script that were kind of no slant, more straight up and down. And then we also had print, that is, we created a font out of the print by adding those weighted verticals as well. And then I printed on a slant, just to show you that this one technique can be used on pretty much any kind of writing, and it's something that I actually practice a lot. Thank you, Tina. This technique is something I do a lot when I'm just kind of scribbling out. What kind of pen am I using? Let's see. So on today's notebook page, I used the IdentiPen. I used the fine point of the IdentiPen, and then I also used the Micron, the 03 point. And then on this pad, this is actually just ballpoint pen. This is the ballpoint pen from Pen Gems, which is just fabulously sparkly. I love these pens. This stays in my planner, but I have an extra one. Well, oh, thank you, Living Life. I don't know your first name. Let's see, where's your profile? Doreen. Thank you, Doreen, for the compliment. I've been doing lettering for many, many, many years. Yes, so this is the Pen Gems, and this is just the standard ink that it comes with, and so I use that a lot in my planner, and so that was what was on my desk today for doodling. So Pepper was broadcasting today while she was doing some of her practice, and so this was something I doodled along while she did. She was using slightly different lettering styles, so she had her descender of the Y going down and ran out of room for lettering. So we were talking about different things that she could do, and I said, well, you could make that into the top of a cursive E. Yes. Do they sell them online? Yes, pengems.com, I believe. I will have to look that up. But I know that she is on Instagram, and if you go through Instagram, she does have special offers for Instagram followers, which is wonderful. And you can tell her that you found her from me. That would be wonderful. I don't receive anything for that, but it's always nice for them to know where new people are coming from. Okay, so the pad of paper that I have in front of me is from Beanfang, I think it's Beanfang, and this is gridded paper with non-reproducible blue lines. So sometimes I use this as my scrap. Alright, so I am going to put the camera into the tripod, so bear with me. Don't mind my messy desk. And let's get you guys angled to where it makes sense. And so for those of you who don't know, I am a lefty letterer, and so of course my samples are using my left hand, but hopefully the techniques, those of you that are right-handed are able to follow the techniques without problem. So excited for tonight's lesson. I am too. This is one of my most used techniques, so I kind of am glad to share this with you guys. Alright, so we're going to need a word. You're learning discipline and being committed to the 31 days. Yes, so am I. This is a big commitment for me. I have never posted perfectly daily, but with so many of you wonderful ladies following me, I am motivated to get the posts up and not abandon you. So I'm very appreciative of the accountability that you all are providing for me. Okay, so the word can be pen gem. Yeah, it can be pen gem. Periscope keeps dropping your connection. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Gabriella, but thank you. Okay. Yay, lefties unite. We can do pretty lettering. I do the word calligraphy like on my blog? Yes, I will do. Let me write those down so I don't forget. I'm going to write pen gems because that's a fun one. And calligraphy. Okay. Any other words? Okay. So, let's see, let's get a black, and I'm sorry, I'm looking for one that's kind of big enough for you guys to see clearly. Yes, well, thank you. Pretty Things, please remind me of your name. I think it's Monica, but I could be wrong. Hi, Kim. I'm hoping it's not me, but it may be me. And the printed typography. Okay. I shared your blog in 4 Magic Planet. Oh, awesome. Mary, thank you so very much. There will not be new lessons on the weekend. The assignments on the weekend are about finding inspiration and practicing what we learned through the week. And it's a time for those that are joining late or aren't able to work on assignments during the week to catch up. Hi, Christy. Thank you for joining. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to do calligraphy just like I did on the blog. So I'm going to do it at a slant. Okay. So pardon me if I miss comments. I do try and go watch the catch so that I can read through all the comments. Okay. And so I do go relatively slowly when I'm doing this, especially when I'm doing it big, because I need to leave room. Would you like to be on film? No. And microns dry up so fast. Some of them do. I have had some batches that last me a long time and some that just don't. Okay, so let's see. I'm not going to be able to get the whole word into the picture at once. But you see, I've written big just for this examples. Those of you that have problems with hand cramps and things like that, you may want to start smaller. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I'm doing big so that you can see it clearly. But certainly I don't always use this technique this big. And so now that the word is written, I'm going to be going in and weighting the vertical lines. And you'll probably end up... Is there a way to turn the camera? Yeah, I can. I can actually do that now. Sometimes I forget that now we have I've been on Periscope since May, and so sometimes I forget that with the newer updates, some of the features that we've gotten, and landscape being one of them. I've been so used to broadcasting on, sorry, I'm just going to fix that angle a little bit. So used to broadcasting in portrait. And I got a new tripod, but I haven't tried it out yet. Okay, how's that? Is that helpful? Okay, so now you could really start anywhere. Some of you that are lefties, you may want to start on this side if your pen is really juicy and you're afraid of getting smudges when you're coloring in and weighting the vertical lines. And now, as I was saying before, you may come back to this technique after we talk about brush lettering in the 3rd week, because some of this may make more sense after you've done brush lettering as to why we're weighting only certain portions of the letter. But it's still fun to do now, and I wanted to tie it into this week because it's based off of regular handwriting, and I tried to make the weeks make sense to the tools and the basic techniques. So we started with handwriting. Next week we'll add calligraphy pens, and the 3rd week we'll add brush letters. The final week we're going to kind of pull it all together, use some extra tools. Okay, so now so now what I'll do is I still want to leave hairlines, and the hairlines would be anything that's going across or an upstroke. So I'm really only making those secondary strokes in a downward motion. And I'm going to go in like this. Can't wait for brush lettering. It's one of my favorite things. And I learned how to do copper plate calligraphy when I was studying calligraphy, and I love that style, and brush lettering is just like a modern version of that to me. So sometimes I want it a little bit thicker than the initial lines I'm drawing in. Sometimes I don't fix that until I'm coloring it in. So I'll add the tittle. So I'm paying attention to still leave hairlines. Yes, and I know the Tombow ones that I recommended on the supply list, the soft and hard tip brushes, I think the soft tip is going to be out of stock very soon from most suppliers for a little while. So Christmas list is the way to go. There are other brands that make similar brushes, and we'll talk about that during the brush letter week. So, is it making sense to see the steps here? Do I go to the inside or the outside of the letter? To me, it depends on where I have the most breathing room. If I have more breathing room on the outside, I'll go to the outside. But if I need to compensate with the space that's in the inside, then I do that. Which did I say would be out of stock? From what I saw on Tombow's Instagram, they're soft. Let me see if I have it right here. I have the blue one is the hard tip, but the soft tip is out of stock for a little while. But some suppliers may still have it. Jet Pens may still have it. I don't know if Amazon still has it. Okay. So then all I do is go back in and color it in. And that's usually when I can tell if I need to add some more weight somewhere so that all the letters, yeah, it is. I found that Amazon had them for the cheapest, I think, because Jet Pens requires the $25 order for free shipping, and some of the pens that I use are just not that expensive, so sometimes it doesn't all add up to the free shipping. Prime does rock. Connection keeps knocking off. I'm sorry. Connie, is Fancy Key what gives you different fonts in your... Yeah, Periscope is still having growing pains. It's still, you know, the new kid on the block as far as social media. And it's growing and changing so much daily. I mean, the number of users over the past few weeks is like skyrocketing compared to what it was just a couple months ago. So, but I think as more and more people come over to this platform, they realize how valuable it is, and I think it's awesome. Well, thank you. I'm glad that not everybody's having connection problems, so hopefully it's... Okay. Alright, so there's calligraphy. Well, Barney, I've been practicing this for many years. I don't want you guys to compare my writing to yours, because really this is about passing on techniques and then learning how to apply it to your handwriting, because each of us, our handwriting is very individual, and we've gained characteristics to our handwriting probably from our family members and things, and I don't want that to change for everybody. I just want you to refine your handwriting and learn to love it, because it is part of your personality. And so I'm just teaching you techniques to jazz up your handwriting, if that makes any sense. Okay, so this was script at a slant, I'm going to write pen gems in this style, but straight up and down. So let's yeah, it's like many different skills. If you just practice a little bit each day, you'll start to see your consistency change, and it should alleviate some of the hand. I am lefty. Hey, the crafty cutie! I've not seen you in a while. Welcome. Okay, so we've got pen gems now, and so now instead of working at the slant that I did for calligraphy, I was working upside down. I'm not upside down, straight up and down. But I'll go in the same way and I will weight the verticals. Oh, Debbie, I love hearing that. That is awesome. Where to add the lines. So for me, it depends on how close together the letters are. My blog is CreativLEI.com. You can find the full URL in my profile. It depends on where I have more space. If there's more space, more counter space inside the bowl, then I will add the lines there. If there is not space there and there's more space between the letters, then I will add the weighted line there. So it kind of changes for each letter, if that makes sense for you. Actually, my third grader is learning cursive in school right now, and that makes me a very happy handwriting mama, because I was under the impression that most schools had done away with it. Okay, so not every school has done away with it, thankfully. Oh, thank you, Terry. Back in high school, in college, I used to do addressing envelopes for hire. It's just been a while. Now I just do it for fun. Awesome. Oh, say hi to Josh for me too. It's now that I've been doing these at night, I'm not on during the day as much. I'm missing a lot of the scopes that I used to see. You saw me stop in the middle of the letter. I'm sorry, I missed part of that comment. Sometimes I stop just to reorient myself, to make sure that my left hand is not going to smudge what I'm working on. You're going to post a pic? Awesome. I've really enjoyed going through the hashtag and seeing everyone's notebooks and the pages. The letter anatomy is definitely my favorite. Yes, Terry, we will be praying. I love lettering. I find that it's a useful skill. Love your lettering is the hashtag that we're using for this month's challenge, because the series that I'm writing is 31 days to love your lettering. So I have the G, which is the center letter, is nice and wide. This E needs to get widened to match it. Thank you guys for filling Tatiana in. Sometimes it's hard for me to draw the letters and talk at the same time, because I will totally write what I'm saying instead of what is in front of me. Hopefully I'm not the only one that has that happen. or when I'll be in conversation and thinking of one thing against. Can I use a thicker pen? Yeah, I certainly could. I just wasn't taking another pen out. But yeah, that would probably make this go a little bit faster while you guys are waiting. Oh, good. Yeah, so that will go a lot quicker. Yep. Yeah, you can totally do, and tomorrow when we talk about adding color, it's going to change what we fill these letters with. So there's your little teaser for tomorrow. Pen Gem is just a brand. It's these ink pens that have Swarovski crystals in the barrel. Well, not the barrel, the end. So yes. So yes, tomorrow is color. I love working in black and white, but I know you guys want to see color. So tomorrow we are working in color. Yes, and I had one that had a stylus at the end, which was perfect for my iPad, but my 2-year-old ate the stylus out of it, so there's that. Alright, so let's do some print. Okay. You're not ready, only black pens. Do you have colored pencils? Because I'm going to be using colored pencils. I won't be using colored ink. Amazon. Give me all the colors. I know, I have a lot of colors, but when I do lettering, I mostly stick in black. I'm going to be using colored pencils. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to be using colored pencils. I have Prismacolors and Crayolas and Faber-Castell handy. Certainly you could use gel pens, because what we're really going to be doing is coloring in the letters and using these techniques with color. So I find it with the gray and the black is all I want sometimes, but then I do go back and add some punches of colors. Okay, yeah, a lot of people use the Papermate Flare. I just don't use much color. The only I use the Staedtler Triplus liners for my in my journaling Bible for inductive study, and that's a good fine liner pen, but I don't use colors much outside of my scripture studies. So let's do some print. I need a word to write and print. I think someone wanted to see the same one that I did on the blog, which was typography. A capital T or a lowercase t? Oh, thank you, Tatiana. Thank you so much for stopping in. Oh, welcome to the washi tape world. Okay, you guys need it to be lower. So, this little tripod might not cut it. But I'm trying to keep you guys at an angle that captures everything so that my hand is not blocking. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole word because I think there's just certain portions that you guys want to see. And write Emily for your daughter. Okay, so the capital T, I'm going to leave the crossbar thin, because the whole thing about keeping the thicks and thins, what tripod, the one that I have right now is actually just a little tabletop one from Five Below. I just received one from Amazon, but I just have not tried it yet during a broadcast, which I'll try and do that sometime during the day, tomorrow or over the weekend when we're just doing a review. Okay, so the capital T, the crossbar I'm keeping thin, and the reason why is because when you're doing these type of letters where you've got a weighted vertical or anything really, you don't want two weighted lines to cross because it's just not visually appealing. You want thin lines to cross your thick lines or two thin lines to cross, but you don't want a thick on a thick. That would be a different type of lettering. That would be monoline when you have the same weight on both. You got a Gorilla one and you don't like it. Okay. Yeah, I was going to get one of those, but then I was afraid that it would only be good if I could, like, twist it onto something, not if I was going to use it tabletop. Okay, so let's outside on this one. So I didn't leave much room between the Y and the P. So I'm going to go to the inside of the P. Yes, that's why only one line is thick. You just don't want two thick lines crossing each other. So even in the O, where you have both sides thick, you're not having the thick meet the thick. You're having, it's tapering down, and the tapered edges are touching. This is not the best O example, but I think you get the picture. So that's really exaggerated. It would be slightly different font, but you get the idea is that you've got your thicknesses are parallel to each other, not touching. So, and to add the feet or the serifs, I've just got, I'm going straight down and then going across, and then kind of rounding this corner just a little bit to give it a foot. Okay, so, and the same thing with the Y. I don't want both of these to be thick. I want a thin into a thick. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. It just depends on, I guess, artist mood. So you could certainly change it up a little bit by not coloring the whole thing and just kind of shading down. Yeah, I'm sure that there are hard and fast rules, but I'm not following them. So to do the T, I went and added the base. Watching and practicing, she just learned her name in cursive. That is awesome. Yes, so that it would almost look like a ribbon instead of a solid. So on the top, I'm not going to add that little rounded because I'm going to do that on the edges. And I'll color those in. So that's not perfectly even, but this was just to give you guys a sample. Do the G and the R in print. Okay, lowercase or capital? Yeah, and this is, we'll talk about these type of techniques tomorrow. So we're really not learning exactly new stuff tomorrow, but we're building on this because I was trying to keep each lesson somewhat short. Oh, you wanted to see these G and R's. Okay, so the way I do the R is I will go like that. I'm going to come in a little bit here. Add a foot. Yeah, I didn't realize it until I stepped back a little bit. So I like to put a bead for the end of my R's onto the, this would be considered the ear. This is the arch and the ear, I believe. We did letter anatomy. We didn't do it for every single letter though. So there's the R. So you could do it differently. You could do it that way, but I prefer this look because I usually add those same little beads to the end of the tails of my descenders. You did the wrong part? Oh no, what do you mean? You weighted the wrong part? There are different ways of doing it. They will just produce a different style. Well, welcome. Is it Carrie? This is distressing? Oh, de-stressing, I'm hoping, not distressing. So, okay. So how is that? Were there other letters or anything else that you guys needed to see tonight? Because you definitely want to just have the shapes of the letters and how we did this, because this is what we're going to be using tomorrow is the outline. Oh, Emily, yes. In script or in print? Capital G in script or in print? Terry with an I? Okay. So let's do Emily. So it seemed, I paused because I try to think it out. We're going to be, oh, sorry, I totally had the camera way too low. Sorry, that's the, oh goodness, that's silly. I know, I'm trying to reposition the tripod. Okay, so we've got, practice to do more practice instead of Facebook. I know Periscope has definitely kept me off of Facebook a little bit more, but then I'm kind of back on Facebook to make sure that I keep those of you that are messaging me and sharing your pages on Facebook. I want to make sure I'm answering your questions there too, but I'm not really spending much time on my personal page, which is probably actually better. Thank you, Connie. Thanks for being here. So now, when I get to a flourish, I could either leave this all as a hairline, or I could thicken or weight the line that is parallel to my other weighted lines. But the idea is to leave it a thin crossing the thick, or two thins. Okay, so there's Emily. Right. Now we've got off topic, but you bought a fountain pen and cannot get the ink to come out. Was it brand new, or did you buy it off someone? Because I'm wondering if there's maybe ink dried in the nib. Because you may just want to soak that in water. Okay. So that was Emily, and let's get Terry written. Having trouble with the print on the tops and bottoms of the H or the P. Yes, I will do that. Let me just finish writing Terry's name. So this is slightly different on the print. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, so let's see. Please remind me of the letters that you'd like to see. I didn't write them down. Okay, so we've got, oh, the tops of the P and the H. So, like, a cursive capital D and a K. Okay, capital. If you let me know, capitals are lowercase too, because sometimes they are quite different, like a D is different. So I know someone was asking for the P and the H. Okay, so if I was doing the cursive P, A in script, print, lower T, and capital G. G. Okay, all right, let me catch up. Okay, so let's see. So P and the H. And I'm going to reposition again. So I've got a P and an H. Okay. So now, and hopefully, did I make these big enough? Does that make sense? I don't know. I didn't really explain that. But, so let's see. I'll draw it one more time, maybe a little bit bigger. So I start with the stem and the descender. And then I'm going to add the bowl, but I'm actually going to start it, since I'm doing this in print and I know I'm going to weight this stem, I'm going to start it out here. Okay, so then I can go back and grab that and bring it down, and then add the baseline there, and then go back in and weight the bowl as well. I'm off the screen. Oh, goodness. All right. The P is off because I see it. Unless, are you? Okay, I've got the phone in landscape. Maybe that's it. Okay, the H would be similar, and the H, when you have the ascender, sometimes I will add my flourishes to this, but we're going to talk more on flourishes later on in the month. So the H would actually look very similar to the stem and the descender of the P. I would add a bar up here, bring down a parallel line, and add a baseline, and then if I wanted to make that footer of serif, I would just round that in a little bit. Okay, so that would be the lowercase h. Or another way, and sometimes it depends on what I have it next to, depending on which letters it's next to would be how I would want to finish it off. Sometimes I would do the H to look like this. I would angle this one. Because it just adds more interest. So like if it was next to a T, I would probably do it angled like this. If it was next to any other ascending letter, I would do it at an angle. If it was next to one that was only at X height, or the midline, the waistline, I would do it, more like that. Does that make sense? Okay, so capital print K, lower print T and X. X is, like we talked about yesterday when we were talking about adding whimsy, X can sometimes be pretty boring because there's only so many ways you can do it. The main thing you want to keep in mind with an X is that you want to cross either two thin lines or a thick line and a thin line. So when I would do an X, I would decide this one would be thick, because it's going to go the same angle. Oh goodness, it's going to go the same angle as my Y's and my G's and all that. And then for this, I would just weight the very top and bottom of that. And a capital would not be much different. You'll weight only one of the letters, because you don't want two thick letters going across. It's a totally different font then. Okay, so there's a T, lowercase t. Sometimes I'll round the base. It really depends on which project I'm working on. and I would leave the crossbar thin. Again, this will all depend on which letter I have it next to, but that's one way of doing it. Capital A in script, I do this many different ways. It really depends on the project. Sometimes I'll do a capital A just as a big, what looks like a minuscule, but I'll do it big. Yeah, the X and the Y can be a little tricky because you're at an angle. You're not parallel to the guidelines. You're going at an angle. So figuring out which one should be weighted can be a little bit tricky. So let's see. We've done the T, a capital G, right? Capital G really depends. So I like to make a tail come off of it. I would do it like that for print. For cursive, I would do it more like this. And then go back in and weight those letters. And remember that you only want a thin and a thick crossing, or a thin and a thin. No too thicks. You don't want that because it just won't look pretty. Okay, let's see. So capital A, back to the capital A. Let's see. So lots of ways to do that. You want to kind of pick what is going to be your stem. And then I would cross it kind of, oh, thank you. I would cross the A in this direction because if I'm going to add a flourish, it's going to be to this way since the rest of the word will be this way. Sometimes I'll add it like that. And then I'm going to weight this side. And I would also weight just a parallel portion of the flourish and leave this as a hairline. So, and you know, that's not pretty. I would normally spend a little more time thinking that out. It just depends. It depends on what you want to do with it. But yeah, so with the A, only one of them is going to be weighted. The other one's going to remain a hairline. Okay, and a capital K. Very similar to the A in that you're going to do the stem. Whoops. Sorry, I'm trying to move the tripod along with me along the paper. Okay, so you're going to do the stem first, and then I like to play with these branches. I like to stagger their size a little bit, so I would have it cross the baseline and even cross the cap line because it adds more interest. And now, since the stem is my weighted line, that means this branch is not going to be weighted because then I would have a thick going into a thick, and I don't want a thick going into a thick. So instead I will just add a serif to that, and then I would weight this branch. Okay. Does that help? You guys are troopers. This is a long Periscope, but I kind of warned that this would probably be a long one since this is the first capital V and Q in cursive and in print. V and Q in both. Okay. Are there serifs in cursive? There are not serifs, but you usually will have like a little tail or a finial, different things. We'll talk more about that as we start to talk about different type of flourishes. because those type of things are really flourishing. Okay, so a V would be much the same, is that you're going to choose the angle that you're working on, that's your stem. So if you think about it, with the downstrokes and the upstroke, it's your downstroke that's going to be the weighted line. Oh, Kim. Yeah, the K, it takes some playing around, but it can totally be a pretty letter. Because you can even mix script and print to make it when you're doing creative lettering. So with the V, I would leave that a hairline and just weight the stem. Okay, so V. Do I use this when writing small? Yes, I do. I use this in my journaling Bible, but just be aware that if you're coloring it in like this, it will bleed through those pages. I've had that happen. Let's see. Trying to find a good example. Okay. So this is a similar technique, but just beware that when you go over those areas, like this one I left empty, but this one I colored in, so it does have potential to bleed through a little bit. And this one, this is the script, like a calligraphic script, but again, since I went over it a couple times, it did bleed through, so you kind of want to think about that when you're using this in different. So this is that technique, but done with friction marker, so that actually did not bleed through. It's shadowing, but not bleed through. So yes, you can totally do this small. Yep, so here's the print, and there's the script. So, yep, those are pretty small. Alright, so let's see, the Q, not my favorite letter. So let me make sure I'm on camera. Okay, so with the Q, I would start with an O and then add I would not weight this since it touches another line, but I would weight it down here on the tail, and then I add the bead. Could I do this with a ballpoint? Absolutely. Let me fix that. And I do that sometimes with my holiday baking list. I will use these techniques to pretty up my lists, to make them fun to look at. Did I show a capital cursive D? I don't think that I did. I think I showed that last night. Let me get on that. So yeah, so there's a ballpoint pen. Capital cursive D, I use a lot of variations in, and it's kind of a mix of, can I star the pens upright or should they be laying down? I leave them laying down. I have a drawer that I keep them all in. Sometimes I keep them upside down, but some of my pens are dual tip, so I leave them horizontal. Let me just close this one. Oh, the capital D I did not do either night. Okay, so let's see. Which pen am I using? Sorry. I need two hands. Okay, capital D. And that is one messy tip, which means I'm probably going to have inky fingers. Hi, Bargain Hoot. So I'm going to weight the stem. I will weight just a piece of the bowl that's parallel to the stem, or well, mostly parallel. I'll add a bead to that, a bead to that, and a bit of weight to that line. So there's one way to do a D. And like I said, it really, for me, the D depends on what I'm using it in. I do lots of variations. How's that? Such creative ideas. And a lot of it is just playing. The more you experiment with the letters, the more variations you'll start to see come out in your own handwriting. And then you'll just, that's what this month, it was supposed to be a jumping off point for you guys to take a look at your lettering and understanding the components of the letters and how to change them. So that's why it's good to understand the stem and branches and things like that, because then you know what things can be switched up for different styles. Alright, so we've been on here about an hour, which is an incredibly long time. Thank you so much for giving me so much of your time tonight. Was there anything else that you needed clarified from today's assignment? Thank you, Dana. Yeah, if there's anything else from today's assignment that you need clarified, I'd be happy to answer that for you. Whoop. Ooh, upside down. Did I take a class for this? Yes, I studied calligraphy in high school, and then I've spent a lot of years playing with letters on my own. So I'm going to pull you out of the tripod and back into portrait, because that wanted to do all crazy upside down stuff. So there you have it. Oh, no problem, Kim. As long as the children are in bed, I can be on here without issue. It's when they're up that it's harder. Notice the connection is definitely getting spotty on my end too. Thank you so much for your compliments, and I truly appreciate your spending your time with me. I know that that was a long time. So I will be working on getting tomorrow's assignment up. Hopefully it will not be up as late as it was today, but thankfully I think it all came out through the email for you guys. So thank you for the compliments, Bonnie. Thank you for joining me in this 1 month journey, and I'm hoping that you guys are being blessed by this. I will